world. And another one of those is my good friend Camilo Riano. He is a contributor in multiple ways to CDM, especially in Connecticut, on our Connecticut Sentinel paper. I want to bring him in now. Camilo, thanks for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it, my friend. I think you're on mute. Let me see if that's me. Yeah, it's you. Can you unmute your mic? Huh.
Hey, hi, Todd. Can you hear me?
All better now. So what's going on in Colombia? We had this attempted assassination. I mean, by the way, you're a very good writer. There's a lot of stuff on the Connecticut Sentinel. You run for the Board of Education in Connecticut. You're a patriot, a patriotic American, although you came from another country, and one of the most patriotic Americans I know. And but Colombia is an important country in Latin America. Your family has a military background. There's a civil war still going in some parts against the FARC. What's happening in Colombia?
Yes, Colombia is a very interesting case because it has strategic and geopolitical value. It has, the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. It has, interestingly, a tradition of democracy that not everybody knows. Many years of democracy that has been actually made even better with a good electoral system. That is, by the way, no machines. Everything is written in ballots, but it's very good. It's very, very efficient. They can produce a result very quickly, and also it has a history of violence that is a contradiction, because you have a democratic country with institutions that were actually developed based on the American model. So we have a presidency, not a parliamentarian system, but a presidential system. And at the same time, you have this past of violence that initially was between conservatives and liberals. At that time, the two parties, the two parties made an agreement of sharing every 40 years, sharing power every 4 years, and for 16 years. And that brought down the levels of violence, but also was the time when the communist guerrillas started operating. And so it was a change. And then you had the addition of narco traffic that made the country, it wasn't really in a difficult situation in terms of violence, but still the democracy and the institutions were working. Now, what has happened in this past week is that a candidate, not a candidate to a presidency yet. This is the time of like primaries, you will call it, like a candidate there was an assassination attempt on him, and it brings back the history and of violence and what has happened. And especially, it brings us back 30 years, because about 30 years ago, the candidate to the presidency was actually killed in a very similar attempt. He was in a neighborhood. He was giving a speech, and from the crowd, a killer came in and killed him. So in this case, Senator Miguel Uribe, is now in critical condition in the hospital with a wound to the head, with neurological damage, and everybody in the political circles, everybody is really nervous about it. Not because he was going to win the election. I've read some comments that he didn't have a chance, but he was an important member of the what is called Centro Democrático, the Democratic Center, that is not so much in the center, is really to the right. It's very very strong right-wing party. And of course, this has all the pre-candidates very nervous, and especially because we don't really know who is behind. In a country like, in every case, you have different interests, and so So it probably related with narco traffic, in the sense that not that he was a member of a mafia or anything, but in the sense that the drug lords are interested in keeping control over of the political system.
Yes.
And so this, and also sometimes, like in the case of 30 years ago, other political actors that oppose his ideas worked with the mafia to actually eliminate their rival.
Was he
So,
speaking out against drug use, or the trafficking and all that, or was that a big issue for him?
no, I don't think he was specifically speaking like Galan 30 years ago, who his whole campaign was about destroying the mafias in Colombia. But the interesting thing is that the relationships that have to do with narco traffic too. His mother was kidnapped by the Escobar mafia. Because at that time in 1991, I think the government had declared a war on the mafias, and they were saying that they were going to extradite all the leaders of the mafias. So the mafias started a campaign of bombing and kidnapping to prevent Colombia from signing the extradition treaty with the United States and start extraditing all their leaders to the United States. In that case, his mother was kidnapped, and in a rescue attempt that didn't went very well, she was killed. So even though he's not specifically talking about narco traffic, there is a sense that these all things are connected. He was, because of his mother's, you don't have to talk, but I guess that if your mother has been killed because of kidnapping of the drug cartels, you're not very much pro drug cartels.
They don't want that guy in
they
position.
they don't want that guy, but other people probably didn't want him either, and also it could have been just an attempt to destabilize the government. That is the other interesting point in all this, is that we have in Colombia there is a government that is a leftist government, and it's not. And so here are two interesting things. It's a leftist government, but it's not really left. The left, extreme left, is still in the mountains, in the guerrilla groups. Communist, pro-Chinese one group, and a pro-Cuban, Cuban philosophy another group. And the situation is really bad these days. Just yesterday there were like 24 terrorist attacks in the southwest of Colombia.
So that war is still going on actively in Colombia.
Yes, because interestingly, President Petro, who everybody says is a leftist, and he was a guerrilla member. He was member of a group called the M19. But the M19 was not really a communist leftist group. It was more it was a middle class group that came because of the elections of 1970, where the government stole the election. So basically, that gave them, let's say, like a moral reason to start a movement. They became successful as guerrilla movement members, but they made an agreement with the government several years later, and they joined the government and became governors and mayors of cities. And President Petro was one of them. So he's kind of a socialist, but we don't know, because things, of course, have changed. He was in a movement that was incorporated. He came in thinking that he was going to create a peaceful environment in 100 days, and it has been really difficult, because you have to deal with mafias, with guerrilla groups, the politics of the country. So that's difficult. And also, the country has gone through a transformation that is very clear, more towards a woke ideology.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
We recommend you take this moment to do what we're about to do, which is enjoy an Alp.
But that is also is it comes from the United States, actually.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And it has these movements are not American, they are global.
Yeah.
And Colombia is part of that. So over the past maybe 30 years, there has been a transition. It started actually with Janet Reno. I remember she visited under President Clinton. She visited the country. Actually, she was criticized very much because she wore like a safari suit.
I remember that.
Went to Bogota and all the ladies were like perfectly dressed and everywhere with their ties, and she comes out with her safari like khaki suit.
Yeah.
But anyway, the interesting thing is after she left, I saw a change. Suddenly, there was a pressure from the United States to have this politics of identity in Colombia that we have never seen. It was totally foreign to us. And so suddenly there were complaints that there were not enough Black ministers or indigenous people. And so it's a transfer of the ideology of the United States, or what we went through in the past like 20 years here in the States, a implant of that, or transplant into Colombia. It was totally foreign to Colombia because.
So how are the Colombians like? Are they behind the U.S.? Or are they as awake as we are, like, to this whole danger? Did people see it now?
No, I think we have a government that is very much into the woke ideology. Has it's positioned itself with Iran, with against Israel. They cut relationship with Israel, cut the contract for the airplanes, the combat airplanes with Israel. So they're positioning there. Colombia has a very strong dominant class. We call it like the upper class, who has always been more conservative, has always managed the economy very well, and they allow a guy like Petro to come in as long as he doesn't touch the economy. When he began like messing up with the production of oil because of the idea that that the environment was more important, then this economic class gets really worried. If the economy, if they can control the economy and the economy is okay, they let the political experiment go on. But the Colombian people are, I would say they're more conservative. Like my father used to say, it's because we're from like living in mountains. Mountains people are more conservative.
Yeah.
But there has been a change of trying to impose this woke ideology in Colombia as part of this globalist idea, that it doesn't fit the Colombians, because Colombians are not a country of immigrants. Colombia is for 500 years, we have in Colombia, we have had the same racial mix. We are half Spanish, half indigenous, half Chibcha, half Spanish. So it's like, you cannot convince me to be against the colonialism or the oppression of the Spanish ancestors, because we're all half and half,
Right.
So
right.
It's difficult. It really doesn't match. And I think in a sense, there is a level of insensitivity to violence where we have gone through this already. And probably I was telling you, it was terrible, and the politicians are very worried with the attempt on Miguel Uribe. But just yesterday was the World Cup, so everybody was worried about the World Cup, and this thing doesn't touch the people per se.
Gotcha. One more question. What do you think about what's going on in Los Angeles in the Hispanic community?
I think that Hispanics like me who came through the legal process, or my sister, or people I know are very pro-Trump. We don't want illegal immigration. We are immigrants, but we want legal immigration, and also immigration that can assimilate. That I think it was lost during the Biden years or before, is this concept that we are Americans and we come to the United States, but we want to become Americans. We want to assimilate. So the Hispanics in LA who vote, who are legal, they're in favor of closing the border and deporting the illegal immigrants. Also, it has an impact on the work conditions of Hispanics and Blacks, and that's why you see them moving more towards the Trump side. So what's happening in LA is just pre-planned by the Democrats or by the Antifas and the BLM guys to send a message that they can destabilize the country. And I think that is not going to happen, because the response, as you saw, is a total different response. It's not the police is watching how you burn the cars. No, now it's the National Guard and even the Marines. We're going to catch you, put you in jail, and be accountable for that. So a strong hand in that will take care of it. But it's not a Hispanic movement. It doesn't have any roots in the Hispanics, and as you can see, people are flying flags from even Mexico, Palestine, but also Mexican flags, and I think they're just using that. I think the Mexicans want to get into that. There's more the traditional strategy of Mexico has been to push population into California and have more influence there, and take the territories they consider the border. They're not crossing the border crossed them, when the United States to California. So but things change, the conditions change, and we're Americans. I hate when people say I'm a Colombian American. I'm not. I'm an American. I was born in Colombia, but I'm American. My kids are born here and are Americans. And once you make the commitment, there's an issue of loyalties too. But I have discussed with you. I think it has to do with the concept of citizenship, of double citizenship, that you can come and get citizenship, or now you can buy the gold card and get the American citizenship. That is not it. I mean, you come in because you agree with the ideology of the country, and you love that before you become an American. You become an American because you love freedom, because you love the system, because you love capitalism, free enterprise. That's why you become an American. Not you don't become an American for economic purposes, or no. You have to be willing to assimilate, and this concept has changed because the left and the extreme and the Democrats, they are pushing a different concept, not assimilation but diversity. So it's like from the melting pot that was original, to the melting pot, to the fruit salad. We're all there's no there's no integration. You don't have a sauce, or you don't have a dish. It's like little pieces where you all maintain your identity.
Yes, completely. Well, Camilo, thank you very much for your insight. It's exactly what I wanted. So I appreciate you coming on, and let's have lunch soon. Let's have lunch soon. All right.
Oh yes, sure.
All right. Take care.